Hey everyone, it's World Film Geek here, and I'm interviewed Tamara Bass. She's best known for her TV work such as The Fugitive, Boston Public, and All That Matters. She makes her feature film directorial debut with Meghan Good on If Not Now, When, which comes out on January the 8th. Enjoy the interview.
Hi,
Hey Tamara, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So, I gotta admit, I have not watched the movie If Not Now, When yet. I did see the trailer though, and it's something I would really enjoy. I love these type of movies where it's about friendship and all the struggles that they go through to keep that friendship intact.
Yes.
So my first question is, what was your inspiration in writing the screenplay?
My inspiration for writing this was basically a love letter to my friend. Um, as we get older, some people, especially me, tend to be closer to your friends than your family. Especially, I live 3,000 miles away from everyone. So everyone's on the East Coast. They became my chosen family. You know, your friends is family that you choose. And over the years, I've gone through a lot of things, but what hasn't changed are my friendships. And this was a way for me to say thank you to them, a way for me to love on them and honor them in the only way I knew how, which is creatively. So yeah, it's just a big old huge hug
That's
to
awesome.
acknowledge that I see them.
That's great. So you got to co-direct the film with Megan Good, both of you making your directorial debut here in terms of feature films. What was it like working with her behind the scenes?
Oh wow, it was great. We've known each other since we've been friends and sisters since we were 16 and 19 years old. So it's 20 plus years of us. So we knew our dynamics in terms of friends. We knew how either one of us talks. We know how we process information. So being able to channel that and channel that knowledge, it made it easier to co-direct, and it made it easier to produce this film with her. And then obviously, the world knows what a talent she is in front of the camera. So just being able to put that all together in the one package was great. It was a lot easier than I think either one of us anticipated.
That's awesome. And aside from that, you're both in the film as well, and you get to
Hmm.
share it with Megan Holder and hope I pronounce this right, Makia Cox. Um,
Correct.
right. What was that experience like working with those two as a collective unit?
Oh, it was great. Like when we met them both, it was like, oh, this feels as if we've known each other for years. Like there's moments that me and Makia in particular, because we had a couple of like funny things happen on set, and we still laugh about them to this day. Like they weren't relationships that we shot a movie and now we no longer talk to each other. Like I up until COVID, me, Makia, and two of our other friends had girls' night at least once or twice a month. So it felt like an instant family. Same with, we call them by their last names because they're two Megan. Same with Holder. It was as if we've known them and they just fit into the puzzle perfectly. When Makia came in the audition, when we watched Megan Holder's tape, we just knew that this was the energy that we needed to complete this foursome.
I thought that's interesting because, yeah, like you said, COVID kind of really, shook things up. And were you guys able to do that like virtually, like still have a girls' night in terms of like virtual in that sense, or?
Yes, we still like occasionally like we'll still have a girls' night, and then now that Makia is on the rookie, so now that she's back on the rookie, it's a little more challenging,
Mhm.
but we still manage to stay connected. We have a group chat that me, Makia, and like two other friends, like it's important during COVID to maintain those relationships by any means necessary because we've become so insulated in our bubbles, and especially for someone like me who's single, who lives alone. It's like if I didn't have that contact with some people on the outside world, I don't know how I would have survived 2020, even though I'm a huge introvert. Like, being alone is my happy place, but I
But at the
like
same time,
being alone by choice.
you need that, yeah, you need that occasional, social setting.
Yes. I need to go to the movies, even if it's by myself. I still want to go to the movies, but not having that because of the state of the world in 2020, and especially with the cases rising, you have to be very cognizant of who is in your bubble and who is you can't take. You got to make sure that you're hanging out with people who have the same approaches to dealing with this pandemic that you do, and you find, you look up and you're like, I haven't seen another human being in a month, so I need to at least go and see them, even if it's on a computer. So we make sure that we maintain, and if somebody hasn't heard from somebody, within a whatever allotted time, we make sure we check in, make sure everybody is still mentally okay. So it's again, those are the relationships that I write. Those are the type of relationships I write, because that is representative of my life.
That's awesome. So, how long did shooting take, and were there any challenges you faced during production?
Oh my gosh, when you're doing an indie film,
Yeah.
you have all the challenges. Your dreams are oftentimes bigger than your budget.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, making sure that, all right, I can't have this particular thing, but what else are our options? How can we still make this work under these budgetary constraints? So we shot it for 19 days, which is lightning fast when you're making a movie. But again, you don't have a budget to do a 3-month shoot, so we shot it in 19 days. And there were challenges, left and right. Like, we were scheduled to shoot at a location, and we find out during shooting that the location you were trying to use on Monday is no longer available. So how do we fix this? So it's a matter of, hiring an amazing support staff who will, like, when we're in the middle of, because it wasn't as if Meghan and I were just, actors and directors. We were also producing this movie, hands-on, me and her, that's it. So we relied on our line producer, Joyce Washington, a lot. So it was, Joyce is like, okay, let me at least figure out a way to present this problem to them with solutions before I present it to them. So it was, the day that we lost the location, she comes to me and she's like, okay, we lost that location, but before you freak out, here are your options. What do we want to do? And it was like, oh, okay. And having, making sure that when we hired people in the beginning, that was a stipulation. Like, we know that things are going to come up. We know that things aren't always going to go smoothly, but we can't leave it like that. If there is a problem, let us know what options we have. And that's my mindset going forward, no matter what project I'm working on. Like, I recently directed a movie for TV One that comes out in the beginning of, right after our movie comes out. I think it comes out in February.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, we're shooting during COVID, and we're one of the first productions back up with these new safety protocols. And being on set with that, there are challenges with COVID, there are challenges with budgets, and there are the constraints of when you're working on a network, when you're working for a TV movie that you're like, oh wait, we can't say that. Standards and practices won't let us do it. So there are all these things, but because I did If Not Now, man, I was able to come, and the producers are like, okay, here's the problem. I'm like, cool, we'll make it work. What are my options? All right, cool, we'll make it work. They got so used to hearing you say, I can make it work, that they knew that no matter what they threw at me, it wasn't going to scare me.
That's good.
That coming from indie world allows you to experience all of it. So when you get an actual, like, budget or a studio movie, you're like, there's nothing I can't handle now. Great, go ahead.
I think that should be the credo of the indie filmmaker. Always get a plan B. Always get a plan C. Always get a plan D, because you never know what's going to happen. I hear this from tons of indie filmmakers. They say the same thing. We've had this issue, but then we always found a way around it. It's like, always, that should be the credo. Come up with a plan. Come up with a plan B.
And not be afraid to I think what happens sometimes, and it's harder. I think it might be harder for people who like say their first movie out of the gate is, even if it's a studio film,
Mm-hmm.
it's something with a bigger budget, and then they come and they try to direct indie or they try to direct TV, and it's a different model, it's a different mechanism, and they're not used to having to problem solve.
Right.
Being an indie filmmaker means your job is a human problem solver.
Yeah.
So if I can problem solve on this scale with all of this happening, there is literally nothing that I can't figure out as I go along.
Yeah, I think all like any aspiring filmmaker should start in the indies. That way they can get the foundation, and that way if they get the bigger projects, they'll have everything ready.
Yep, agreed.
So
Agreed.
so finally, um, you mentioned you have a upcoming movie in February. Are there any other new projects that you can talk about?
Yeah, so Don't Waste Your Pretty is, I want to say it's February. I know it's in the first part of 2021. I directed that for TV One, and that stars Deborah Joy Winans, Carrie Hilson, and Rhetoric Williams. And it's based on Demetria Lucas's book, Don't Waste Your Pretty, and it was an amazing experience. And I had an exceptional cast. I was like, okay, how did I'm going to be really nervous, like, on my next thing, because I'm 2 for 2 now. I got great cast, 2 for 2. So I'm excited about that. And from that, like, me and Deborah Joy Winans, I created this pilot that my manager and I had started shopping, but once Deborah Joy Winans, who just came off of Greenleaf, once I met her, it was like, oh, that's our missing piece. She read the pilot. She's like, I'm in. So now we're currently shopping that one. So I felt like 2021 is about to be a little bit busy, but busy in a good way. It's an exciting time, and it's an exciting time for this shift in narrative when it comes to women and when it comes to women of color in particular.
Awesome. So, if not now, when is coming out on January the 8th? And anyone who loves a good film about friendships and the struggles and obstacles they have to overcome to keep that friendship going should definitely see this. Tamara, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it, and I definitely do plan to see this movie.
Thank you so much, Albert. Have a great day.
You too.
All right.
Bye bye.
Bye.